Good day, guys. This will be part 3 of the GPX6000 modifications and grounding or earthing saga. I did call Minelab. I eventually got through and spoke to a fellow by the name of Brendan, and he said that he's going to take it up with the technical department. We'll see what comes of it. Anyway, I did a field test and I did a quick reassemble, disassemble, reassemble with the grounding connected and the grounding not connected and just floating. The grounding connected makes the detector quieter, and it as a result of being quieter, it's more sensitive and goes deeper. But I had a look at the whole thing. I don't know, Minelab probably won't get back to me about it. They'll just keep it internal or whatever they want to do with thus information. But I'll put something forward that you can utilize to. This is well, it's not approved by Minelab or anyone. It's my own fix, and I don't know the ramifications. What would happen if you pulled your own detector apart and did this yourself? It might cause an issue. Then again, it might not. Okay, I'll tell you what I did to fix it. It's very, very simple. It's not endorsed by Minelab because it means you have to pull your detector apart, and if it's in warranty, you void your warranty. Okay, not that it should, but it does. You know what people are like with warranties. You touched it, yeah. We don't want to know anything else about it. You blow it up, bad luck. So be very careful if you do this. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. Okay, I'll tell you what it is. Okay, the carbon painted in here goes all the way down, and if you actually poke it very hard at the bottom on the side of the nut, there is carbon there. So if I put this board in and did the nut up, there's going to be no continuity between here and the carbon or the graphite, whatever it is, some conductive paint. Okay, I think I found the mistake. Well, I won't call it a mistake. I'll call it an oversight. How's that? I don't even know if it's a problem. Well, I think it is, but the manufacturer may disagree with my assumption, my opinion. Okay, first of all, if you can see here, I'm going to focus this down a little bit. This is important, so watch this. We'll get rid of the case, put it over there. I'll turn this around so you can see it properly. Okay, on here we have an O-ring. This is to stop water getting into the detector. Okay, there's no recess for this O-ring. It just sits flat on that little part of the flange there. Okay, get the O-ring. Take the O-ring off. This is my cure, right? This is not endorsed. This is my cure. Get yourself a fret file. A fret file is something you use to file the frets down on guitars. This is something else I used to do. I used to fix the necks and fret heights on guitars for people. So I have a fret file. Basically, it's got a groove in here and it's got diamond powder in it. Okay, this here is a whole assembly. It's made. It's not a separate nut. Now, if you use a normal file to do this, you will 99% absolutely destroy the threads. Don't do that. Get a fret file. You can probably get a fret file on eBay or somewhere. Guitar shop might be a good idea, right? But what I'm going to show you what you do, because this is anodized, anodized metal is non-conductive, right? Fret file is only going to cut in that diamond groove. So what you do, you put it there. I don't know if you can see that very clearly. I have it on an angle, right? And all I've done, if you can see there, I've taken the anodizing off the nut part of this socket assembly, right? And I've actually already did this because I tested it. But basically all you do is get this. You could use a Dremel, but you'll take off too much material. Don't do that. Get a fret file. I thought about this really, really hard and long, and don't use a normal file. Don't use a Dremel. Don't use sandpaper. You could probably knock off your missus's nail file. It might work. But then again, if you go into the threads, you will wreck the threads. So don't touch this part with something that's going to cut or grind, okay? So just do this. Just kiss the edges, right? Very simple. Just like that. You can probably see it in the light there. Have a look around there. You can see the silver. I'm pretty sure it's aluminium. That's why I'm saying don't kiss the threads. If you distort the threads, if it is aluminium, I think it is, or aluminum, sorry for Americans. Okay, aluminum or aluminium, however you want to say it. Yeah, if you do kiss the threads, aluminium or aluminum is a real problem, right? You'll need to cut the thread. Don't go and try and screw the coil connector on there. It'll just bind up and make a mess. Don't do it. Be very careful. Even put some tape around here when you're doing it. I'm just very careful. I've done this a million times, and well, I haven't actually done it a million times on these, but I've done it on other detectors. Very similar stuff, and just things in general. I used to do RF work and that same thing. Just do that. Okay. What we do then, we have our circuit board. We get our box, nothing special, just like so. And this is the quickest and easiest way I thought to fix this problem. Don't put the washer on there. Okay. It all goes together nicely. It all fits together perfectly, right? The O-ring, put it on the outside. Okay. It's a quick and easy fix. Okay. O-ring is on the outside. Like I say, this is my fix. It's not a Minelab endorsed fix or anything like that. The only thing you're going to make sure when you do this, just lining up the board, I'm feeling it with my finger, make sure nothing is out of plumb. It's all very nice. So I can tighten that up. The board does rock a little, even if this is tight, because the nut isn't hard fixed to the board. It just sits in like a floating plastic enclosure. So we get our correct size spanner, and we just compress the washer. That is now waterproof. Water's not going to get in there, so it does exactly the same as what it was. Okay, we want it probably a little bit tighter than normal, because it's a neoprene type washer, and that wasn't very good because it's popped out the end there. So maybe a tighter. Well, you know what I've got? If I back it off, right, it does seal properly. But it's a bit loose for my liking. It's not going to come undone, but it's a little bit loose. What you could do is get an undersized neoprene washer, or my idea is get something like a washer you use in a tap, a flat fibrous washer, and put it there. That might be a better option. I don't have any proper tap washers kicking around, We'll just undo that. See, I can undo that with my fingers. So what we want to do is probably want to put on an undersized washer. If you didn't go out in the water, you didn't go detecting in the wet, you probably don't even need it, okay? But we're going to be careful. So that's the size of that thing. It's 20 mil. It's 20 mil by probably about 2 mil at a guess. Now I've got a collection of this. This comes from Bunnings, okay? And if I open it up, all these are labelled, and I don't know if we've got anything in there that's going to do the job. Okay. I think that's probably exactly the same size. It's 20, and I think, let me have a look. It's a little tiny bit smaller, I think. Well, if I hold them like that, they look exactly the same because they're covering each other. So maybe it's just a 20 mil washer. Oh, sorry. Well, it's meant to be a washer. It's a seal, isn't it? O-ring. O-ring is the correct terminology. Okay, what's that? That's bigger, smaller. Oh, dear me. Okay, I'll try one of these. It's a little bit smaller. It might be... No, it's just as easy to go on. I'll show you some tricks of the trade. Because when I put the nut on, it's actually binding, and when this hits this seal, it wants to twist on the seal. So maybe some silicone spray on that seal will stop the nut binding, and you'll be able to get some slippage on it to get it tight. So a couple of squirts on the seal. Seals are now being hit with some silicone spray. We'll see how this goes. This outside nut has a chamfer on it too. Chamfer goes pointing away from the box. So we'll see how we go this time. Some bright spark out there might want to make a kit for this. Okay, what you do is you wiggle the circuit board a little bit. Just make sure it all sits down good. Now let's see if this is, yeah. Again, as soon as I squeeze it, it wants to jump out. So the only way to really do that is put on a very, very undersized O-ring, or get a tap washer, a flat fibrous tap washer if they're made in a 20 mil inside diameter size. Or if you really, really wanted to, you could probably get some thick gasket paper and cut one out. Hang on a sec. I'll go and see if I've got some tap washers. I don't know if I've got any that size, so I'll have a look. So let's look in my box of goodies here. I've probably got everything else, but hang on, what's this? I found a flat fibrous washer. So even if it's gigantic in size, you'll get an idea. This is the thing I'm talking about. These are fibrous tap washers. They go on the head part of a tap. They're very thin. They do seal because they seal water, don't they? And it's not going to compress out and do anything. But this will be, it's a bit large, right? That's a bit large, as you can see. It's a couple of millimeters large. What else have I got? I've got a bag in a bag here. I've got all these tap washers. So we're going to have a look and see what's in there. But you get the gist of what I'm saying. Okay. Oh God, that's a bag in a bag. It's full of plaster. Not what I was after. Okay, that can go back. So Dear me. Now, if you really got creative, yeah, we're looking here. Got a box of all sorts here. Nothing that size. There's some more of them. I've got some more flat ones. What are these? Oh, these are even bigger still. Can't win, can I? I was trying to show a quick fix on this. So, you really want the right size. I would go hunting. I just found another couple of those things, but they're the same size as the other one, which is a bit of a bugger. So the size of the O-ring, see, it's a bit on the large size, sort of like near enough the inner diameter of the black O-ring. But I'll tell you something, right? Even though this is way too big for, compared to what was there, it will actually work. It'd be better if you had a proper size, but it's going to look. It's not going to look very nice, is it? You can have a tap washer sitting there. But if you actually have a look at the nut, you can actually make the nut pretty level on this, and careful without making it go off center, right? It actually does work. Okay, so now we've got a tap washer on there, but it'll keep water out. It's the function of it. Doesn't matter if it's on the inside or the outside. Like I say, this is not a Minelab endorsed fix. Now, what we want to do, you saw on the previous videos, there was no connection between this black carbon and the metallization on the coil socket. So we have to fix that. What I'll do, I'll get my El Cheapo beeping multimeter, right? And I will put it on the carbon paint, right? And I will touch this. There you go. Problem fixed, 0 ohms. So that's on the carbon. Now it's now earthed. It couldn't have been earthed before. It's impossible. You can't just not file that nut on the edges either, because the anodizing will stop it connecting. There's no connection. You have to use the trusty fret file. And what I've done and tested out there anyway is that the detector is quieter, right? It does. It acts as a electrostatic shield. It probably, some of the spurious emissions inside probably get absorbed. If it was floating, it's not going to do anything. It needs a grounding point, and the best grounding point is there. Like on the other detectors, they're all well, the GPXs are grounded at the back, right? But I mean, it's got a whole circuit board plane in it, which then goes up, and where the connector is on the coil driver wire anyway. So on the braid of the cable goes to the coil. So that's your grounding. And on this one, it ain't there. Well, it is now. It's there. So look in there, all sits in there very nicely. We have lost. Hang on, I'm just trying to think how that goes. If that sits in the middle, no, it's probably exactly the same. We haven't gone, the board hasn't gone more in or more out or anything. It's exactly the same. And the way to check that would be get the coil connector and screw it on, make sure it all goes together properly, which it will do. Okay. Let's make sure that the collet doesn't bottom out against the nut, just to prove a point. There you go. Goes in, And if you can see that, there's a little bit of clearance, which means this is all the way in, and it's a very, very good, nice, tight fixture. And, you know, if you want to leave the tap washer there, right, it works fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very, very stable. What you could do is, at great risk of cutting the plastic on the box, you could get a knife and you know, chop, chop, chop. Or what I'd rather do, just get a black texture and draw the whole thing black, so it's not a. Who cares? Who cares what color it is and what it looks like? I mean, it's functional. It is sealing where it's meant to seal. Water can't get in there. So basically, it's cured. So we've overcome that floating ground or floating earthing or grounding. Same, they're interchangeable terms when it comes to you know, electronics. You know, a return, yeah, grounding, earthing, grounding, earthing. When people say grounding, they think of ground, but it's electronic ground. It's electrical ground, like a neutral, I suppose. But now that is properly shielded. The only thing, do I go there? Do I not? See, this is where I start extrapolating more information on what I've done. Maybe on the other part of the housing here, where it is, this is just pure plastic. There's no grounding or anything, earthing or any conductive stuff here. Maybe you want to paint on the inside of this, right? Paint it all, and on the battery. Oh, yeah, I was going to say this is me probably saying too much to the layman who will do it and stuff up his detector. But you know, if this is negative to ground, or you know, negative to yeah, I'm using that ground word. It's just what it is. It's negative to ground. If it's negative, you could possibly paint all this in here, and on the negative trace of this mylar, where it goes to one of these pins, they're just hard pins, you could probably solder. There's that terminology again, American to UK or the rest of the world. The terminology. You could probably use conductive silver epoxy or something after you paint it all with a graphite, and then ground it, earth it. So when it's all together, the whole thing's a big shielded container, right? You know, that would be one way to do it. You could do that. So, you know, if there's any external fields, maybe they're getting blocked or attenuated, should I say, not blocked, but attenuated by the graphite or carbon in here, right? But it could get in through here because there's no shielding. You know, that there, you know, looks like a bit of you know, some sort of strip line. What we used to call strip line when we used to do RF circuit boards, and that's just floating around here. This could all act as, you know, this could act as an antenna into this, and you know, pump interference into the detector. If you're near a strong source of interference, I'm talking about, and I'm talking not AC mains. I'm talking more likely, you know, low frequency RF, not very high frequency. Like if you're near a HF transmitter or something, it would definitely cause havoc. But I hope you know, that is of some help to people that want to do some work quietening these detectors down a little bit more. So yeah, I think that's probably enough on the subject. You know, the board's in nice and stable. Like I say, it's on a bit of a floating mount. It's not a hard into the board thing, but it only has to sit there in the guides. It's not going to jump around. because it's got guides in here and guides at the front, and it's pretty snug. And yeah, if I had a black texture, I'd probably colour that around. But like I say, this is a customer's detector. He said go nuts on it, do everything you can do to this detector to help with the noise issues. He just said it's a noisy detector, and a lot of people do say they're a noisy detector. Will doing this fix the noise problem? I noticed a reduction in noise whilst testing it out in the bush, and thus I'd say it's beneficial. It's beneficial, but I think that maybe Minelab should do a communication via their website or through their dealers or whatever, and say what they think about it. You know, if they're under warranty, you want their blessing if you're going to do anything. Otherwise, I don't think it's necessary to go and send it back and get it done as a warranty issue. It's not that sort of thing. But it's just if you want to do it yourself or get someone to do it. Actually, a lot of the Minelab dealers do have techs. I know Bendigo Gold have a tech there. I know Coil Tech in Maryborough have a tech, I think. I'm not sure. I don't deal in those circles as such, but maybe they could do it. I don't think it's a big deal. It's very easy to pull apart and pop off a thing, get a fret file, like I said, take the anodized material off the edge of that nut. It will then go in and touch that paint on the side. It fits in quite snugly, so it'll make a good connection. If you really, really wanted to, you could put some paint where you've taken the anodized material off and make it a bit thicker so it really pushes in hard. Don't think it's necessary. That is, 0 ohms connected hard. There's no fluctuation wiggling it around. So that has probably cured the problem, which is my opinion to be a problem, but it's not really a problem. I don't know how to put it. I don't want to go and say, oh, it's a problem, because, people start harassing the crap out of every dealer, and, it'll come back on Minelab. And it's not that sort of issue. I want to say that the detector works perfectly without it. But, it's maybe it will quieten it down 2%. I don't know that how much it's going to do that. But, there's enough people competent enough to pull the screws out of these things, pull it apart without ripping the bloody mylar to pieces. That's my main worry, what people do, or they go and pull the circuit board out and their hands are covered in Vegemite and peanut butter or something like that, It's the unknown that worries me. I do this all the time. I do it every day. I pull these things apart, put them back together, do modifications, all that stuff. So I'm saying from my point of view, it's easy for me to do it, right? But it may not be easy for anyone else to do it. So don't risk it. If you don't know what you're doing, don't bugger your warranty up. There's nothing worse than you go and say, well, I did this and now it doesn't work, what more can I say on it? It's very, very straightforward as long as you know. Hang on, we'll use a proper terminology. If you are skilled in the art, right? That's the proper terminology. The correct terminology. Proper isn't the proper word, is it? No. The correct terminology is skilled in the art, right? That is how you do it. And the rest of it all just is a reverse of how it come apart. Let's put it back together. So now we have one of these with a proper grounding here all the way down inside the detector. So all that graphite is now grounded to the negative of the detector, which is common negative for the whole thing. And yeah, any more about it? I'm just going to waffle on about, off-track stuff. So I'll cut it here, and hopefully that helps, you know, any of you people out that think your detector's a bit on the noisy side. But I do stress, normally don't do it yourself. Give it to someone who knows what they're doing, just in case, right? You know, I could pull this apart 100 times, it's not going to do any damage. But some people, what can we call them? We can call them ham-fisted, right? They can't use tools properly. They've got big fat fingers like me, right? And they can't undo plastic things, or they pull this too hard, thinking, oh, you can just pull it, you know, till the cows come home. This can break, right? That's in there, but when the cable's in, it's a lot tighter. It only comes out that much, okay? Don't pull it past that. It will snap off the little guides here. Then you'll have a problem. Be careful, right? Be careful with this stuff. The mylar, don't go and twist it and bend it all over the place. You know, I'm just doing exaggeration of, you know, but I mean, don't wrench it up here or here, that sort of thing. Don't bend it sharp. Keep nice, wide sort of curves on it if you can. Don't stress it there. Don't stress the I don't pull it, push down on it. Be very careful of the mylar. It is one of those things that, you know, if you don't do it right, when you put it in, don't bend it. You see those fingers there? I'm trying to hold it in the light so you can see the fingers. Don't bend it at the top of my thumb there. Sharp angle, it will break. And it looks like it's connected, but all the copper will just break. Remember, copper wobbles, work hardens, gets brittle. Remember that. Which then makes me think of something else, but I'm not going to go into it. You can see what I'm talking about. Big piece of vibrating mylar with the copper in it. Copper work hardens when it vibrates and moves, and you know, maybe they should have some. Shut up, Peter. Okay, guys, you know what I'm on about. Catches.